Alrighty, let's do some comic book reviews. This is all the stuff that came out last week that I had a chance to read that I want to review for you guys. I'm going to rank them from what I most recommend you guys check out to maybe what I least recommend you guys check out. You guys see it right on the top. Let's talk about Daredevil issue number 1. So new series starting up from Marvel Comics. We got Stephanie Phillips coming in. She's doing some really good stuff over at Marvel. So really impressed with her. Given the keys to the Daredevil title. Really cool. We got Lee Garbett on the art. And I thought this was a great issue 1, man. A great new starting place if you're trying to get into Daredevil. If you wanted to add a Daredevil series to your pull, now's the chance. Now's your chance. And I thought this was a great starting point. So the situation we find ourselves in, right? So there's this new villain on the block. Daredevil's trying to investigate, seeing what's up with that. This new villain is not able to be detected by Daredevil. So using all of Daredevil's powers, Matt Murdock cannot detect this person. He can't sense a heartbeat. The voice changes all the time, so he can't tell who it is. Very interesting villain. But the scenario for Matt Murdock is he's now a professor doing law classes. So it's this new point in Matt's life he finds himself in. He's not so much of a lawyer anymore. Now he's kind of teaching law. We got some great art in this, some great action scenes as well that you'd expect from a Daredevil title. Your street level, like down to earth kind of Daredevil stuff. I thought it was all in here. And to be honest with you, I kind of saw this as like kind of like somewhere in between Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run and Brubaker's. I haven't finished Brubaker's, but at least the first half of it. It's kind of like somewhere in between. So it's not so like mystical as Chip Zdarsky's like later stuff was. And maybe it's not so like ground level as Ed Brubaker. It's kind of like somewhere in between, if that makes sense. At least from the art. The art wise, I think it's like right in between. Kind of like between Kaketto and between Michael Lark, right? So kind of like somewhere in between those art styles. And yeah, this new villain is pretty cool. We'll have to see. He beat the crap out of Daredevil, kicked him out of a window. So we'll have to see what happens to Matt Murdock in the next issue. But I thought this was a great starting point, great place to jump on. And I would give it 4 out of 5. Not a 4.5 out of 5, just a 4 out of 5. Nice solid issue there. Next up, let's talk about Absolute Superman number 18. Man, this one was cool. We get a look at the Absolute version of Shazam, which is more like a mix of like Shazam and Black Adam kind of, right? So we get the origin story of this character, Teth Adam, they called me, which is Mighty Man. As a kid, he was like enslaved. His parents were killed and all that stuff. He decides to kind of run off. He heard about this prophecy and he wants to be the prophecy. He wants to be the savior of his people. He gets sort of abducted by Brainiac, and that's what happened way back in the day. But current day, we got Superman just hanging out, going around saving people. This is after the fallout of Absolute Parasite and Superman saving the day there. We got Talia al Ghul she broke out Ra's al Ghul last issue, and now she wants to kind of revive him. He's like, hey, you're acting real weird, Dad. Let's get you back to your killer, kind of a menace of a personality. But Ra's al Ghul, he's like, nah, man. Superman reformed me. I see the error of my ways. I want to be good now. Very interesting at the hope and kind of like the effect that Superman has on people. He makes Ra's al Ghul like, docile. He's like, hey, Ra's al Ghul just wants to read poem books now, man. It's crazy. But we also get the introduction to Absolute Steel. Bro, when I saw this, I texted Kai Bucks right away. I'm like, bro, this is so sick. His character design is so sick. He's got this magnetic hammer, right? This is Absolute Steel, and it's so sick. Yeah, he slams Ra's al Ghul, and he's like, today's the day you die, bro. And it's like Mjolnir. Like, he can call the hammer back. Bro, Absolute Steel looks so sick. But then at the very end, it turns out in the middle of this battle, they accidentally uncover the tomb, or like uncover the whatever this version of Black Adam, King Shazam, whatever he was like being contained in over all these hundreds of years, he's broken out. He's now free, and he's gonna be a menace for the Absolute Universe, I'm sure. So looking forward to that in the next issue. New story arc starts here. Solid story, solid place to jump on. Rafa Sandoval back on the title. I really enjoy his art style. And yeah, Jason Aaron just killing it with this Absolute Superman title. Not the most underrated, but it's the most underrated. I would probably say Absolute Flash is probably the most underrated. Nobody talks about that one. But Absolute Superman, I think out of the big three, it's number 2. You know what I mean? For me, it goes it goes Absolute Wonder Woman, Absolute Martian Manhunters 2, Superman's 3, bro. Superman's 3, and it's been that way for ever since it started. So yeah, Absolute Superman, excellent stuff there. Let's talk about Batman real quick. Batman number 8. We have Ryan Sook coming in for the art. So it's not Jorge Jimenez. You'll notice that as soon as I start flipping. But it's this interesting kind of moment that happens between Bruce and we got, what's his name? Alan Scott, Green Lantern. So they have this meeting because Alan Scott, of course, he's faced off against Vandal Savage all the time. So Batman wants some insight. He's like, hey, how do I beat Vandal Savage, bro? Like, what do you think he's here for? Let's do some brainstorming. Let's kick it around. It's also funny because Batman is just sitting there with a cup of coffee, man. That just made me laugh from Matt Fraction. So you still get that Matt Fraction humorous writing, like kind of dripping in every now and then. Overall, though, I think the story is really solid. It's like this question of like what's the role of police and like what's the role in society, and obviously we know they can abuse that power, and we see Vandal Savage trying to do that here, working with Pamela Isley, who's now the mayor. Vandal Savage is like, yo, give me the authority to hunt down all of the Batman and the Batman family, because you know for a fact they're not, like they're like an edge case. They're like in that gray area of like the law, right? So let's take them out and let's do it together. So it looks like Pamela Isley has signed on to that, and we'll have to see the ramifications in the next issue. This one was more like a setup, just kind of introducing the scenario of Vandal Savage, Pamela Isley working together. You have a detective character and this kid. They're trying to work like behind the scenes, trying to get more information. And then you got Batman meeting with, Green Lantern to try to see how to beat Vandal Savage. So I thought it was a pretty solid issue. Talk about Bizarro Year None. Gotta admit, I thought this one would focus more on Bizarro, I guess is a weird way to put it. But the beginning of the issue, like the beginning, I don't know, like 7/8 of the issue is all about Superman's regular world, right? So you gotta know how Metropolis is working before you can know how the Bizarro version of Metropolis is working, if that makes sense. That's kind of my read on it. But man, if I'm flipping through, you guys are seeing how wordy this damn thing is. Very wordy. And the art style I thought was pretty sick. I would compare this, right? At the very start of this series, with issue 1, this thing is so much like All-Star Superman, it's not even funny. So if you loved All-Star Superman, you'll get those vibes here in spades. You got the Jimmy Olsen, you got the Perry White. They've been displaced. They're in the Bizarro universe now. So we'll have to see how Perry White and Jimmy deal with that. And this version of Bizarro, he's trying to model his life and model his whole universe after a copy of the Daily Planet that drifted into his universe. So he's using that as the model of how he wants everything to be. As you see here, like he's got like pages of the all split up, and he's like, hey, that's what Superman looks like. I want to be like him, right? Or Superman saving this person. I want to save people too. That's kind of like the vibe of the series I'm getting so far, is just Bizarro breaking through a little bit. You see the kind of Bizarro personality that we know, like the modern day, kind of leaking through a little bit. So we'll have to see, by the end of the series, Bizarro will become Bizarro, I'm sure. But yeah, this first issue, wasn't the biggest fan of it. I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5. Like I wasn't absolutely sold on issue 1. I was saying before this issue came out that Bizarro is not my favorite character. It really takes like a special writer to make me like Bizarro. I'm not sure if they're doing that necessarily just yet. I did think the art was really cool though. Very Frank Quietly inspired. Yeah. It's kind of interesting lately how many series have come out. I'm thinking of this one, and I'm thinking of Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum. Just very like Silver Age inspired, got that All-Star Superman vibe. It's really interesting how people are going for that vibe for the Superman stories. But anyways, yeah, pretty good issue there. Let's talk about Batgirl real quick. Batgirl number 18. This was a solid issue. It's really getting back to that first arc that I really loved. So we got Batgirl and her friends, her brother Tenji and her friend there. They're getting sucked into the spirit world. They gotta fight the people that they gotta fight in the spirit world. They gotta like, climb a tower or something like that. So they're just them kind of going through the spirit world, talking to each other, learning about the spirit world, how it works. Batgirl has got these new blood powers that we figured out in the last issue, and she's trying to get control of the blood powers, trying to learn from this guy who's like her uncle, who's last name Blood. He's from like the Blood clan or whatever. And so yeah, she's just trying to learn how to use her powers. You get some really cool moments here with the blood powers. Let me see if I can find it. She uses like a blood sword, bro. So let me find that real quick, 'cause that's pretty cool. Let's see. Yeah, right here. Because in the spirit world, if you use blood as your weapon, it's more effective than like regular weapons. So if you ever wanted to see Batgirl with a blood sword, it's in that issue. I would say this one for me, probably like a 3.5 out of 5. That's probably how I would rank it. It's getting there to that first arc, but it's not necessarily there yet. So just waiting a little bit for Tate Bromble and Miyazawa to give it to us. But the artwork, Miyazawa's artwork is so sick. Great look for Batgirl. 2 more reviews real quick, and we'll talk about the Ghost Machine one very, very, very quickly. So I didn't know this going into it. I guess I should have assumed, but it's kind of like the data files that you find in every issue of a Ghost Machine title. At the very end, they'll teach you something about the Ghost Machine character or world. So that's what this issue is, and it seems like that's what the rest of the series is going to be. So all of the Ghost Machine titles are going to have their own issue with all the different data files associated with that. Not necessarily a must pick up, I guess I will say. Is it a waste of money? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. It was interesting. I was flipping through, you know, like finding out more about Barney, because I forgot about, like, this data file was probably in Geiger number 2 or something like that, right? So Benedict Arnold, like some of the red coat characters that I don't know too much about, not a must pick up, all right, guys? I will be honest with you. Probably only for the hardest of hardcore Ghost Machine fans. That one probably makes sense for you. For the general public, probably not. Probably not a must pick up. And then real quickly, I just want to talk about Comics the Magazine. This is so cool, man. I don't know about you guys, but like back in the day when I was growing up, I was a huge fan of Nintendo Power, right? Just learning about the new Nintendo games that are coming out. You got screenshots and interviews and stuff like that. I really love, and I was missing something like that, but for comics, right? Because we don't have Wizard Magazine anymore. I don't think they're a thing, right? So this is kind of like the next big swing to try to bring back that vibe. And I thought they nailed it for this first issue. We got How to Make Batman. You got interviews with Nick Dragotta and Scott Snyder, I believe. All the different designs for Absolute Catwoman, interview there. You got some like comic strips or whatever. You got some roundtable with Tony Flees, Scotty Young, and Kyle Higgins. So yeah, this thing's just packed full of good comic book information. This was cool. It was from Jim Rugg. He just did a timeline of all the different magazines, like comic fanzines. So, you know, you get all the way from the 60s all the way to the 2010s, just every single like sketched, panel X panel, I don't know, all like the Overstreet price guide, right? Like all sorts of stuff like that. So I thought this was an interesting, like a look at the comic book industry. You got this cool timeline as well. Let me see. This was funny, right? So you got how to draw pouches in all the different genres, and you gotta like, you know, pouches, right? It's a funny 90s thing. You got people making their picks for what you should be picking up in the next month or so. A lot of ads, of course, right? It's good to be expected. You got some good comic book like spec information in here as well from Shortboxed if you're looking into like the values of X-Men 198, stuff like that. And then at the very end here, I don't know if they're going to continue doing this, but they have the pull box power rankings for the top 10 titles, top 10 publishers, and then the cover artists, interior artists, and writers. This might be fun to go over every now and then. It could be a fun topic. Looks like the pull box power rankings are based on pre-order and subscription data. So yeah, it looks like, you know, what people are actually buying and stuff is how they come up with this list. So if you look at the top 10 here, we got Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Superman, Martian Manhunter, and Flash. So a ton of Absolute representation here. But then with Marvel, you got Ultimate Spider-Man, Endgame, and Ultimate Wolverine as well. So a lot of the alternate universes are doing really well out of Marvel and DC. Top 10 publishers, sure. Top 10 cover artists, I guess. Like, I guess you could put John Romita Jr., I guess. I guess that might be because he's doing the covers for Amazing Spider-Man still, right? So maybe that's why he's the top 10. Interior artist, Jock. What has Jock done interior artist wise lately? Jordi Belair, so that's a colorist. Interesting. So yeah, I don't know about this, like, I guess they get it from sales data, but I don't know. Anyways, that's what we got for comic book reviews for the week, man. So I'll be sure to let you guys know my thoughts on next week's comic books as soon as I read them. So every single Monday at 4 p.m. I go live, I hang out with the chat, we talk about that week's current comic pull list, and we talk about the previous week's comic book reviews, and I also do a big old topic this week. I unboxed a lot of packages, a lot of comic packages, man, so definitely check that out. And yeah, every single Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern for New Comic Weekly. I'll see you guys in the next one.